Seeing this gradation and diversity of structure in one small, intimately related group of birds, one might really fancy that from an original paucity of birds in this archipelago, one species had been taken and modified for different ends. How I wish I had the time and strength to return to those enchanted islands. Hopefully, humans will recognize the unique nature and location of the Galapagos and preserve and protect them for others to see and enjoy. They might well prove to be living laboratories for the study of the role of natural selection. We left the Galapagos and after a year returned to England. I took a coach without delay and made the 250-mile trip to Shrewsbury. When my father first saw me, he turned to my sisters and exclaimed, "Why, even the shape of his head is quite altered." I took this as a compliment, considering that my father had once told me I cared for nothing but shooting, dogs, and rat catching, and would be a disgrace to myself and all the family. After several months, I moved to London. Once settled, I began to review my journal notes and to put my thoughts to paper in a series of notebooks. My ideas remained scattered, without the nucleus of centralized form. Then, one evening, I picked up to read for pleasure an essay on the principle of population by the Reverend Thomas Malthus. The book caused my thoughts to solidify. Malthus noted that populations of living organisms increase geometrically until checked by famine or disease. Consider a tapeworm, which produces 60 million eggs each year. Only a few of these could possibly survive, else the world would soon be overrun with tapeworms. And so too for beetles or buttercups. It occurred to me that in a world where organisms produce more offspring than survive, and given that individuals vary one from the other, then those with the heritable attributes best suited to the local conditions will be the ones most likely to endure. Some will live and some will die. And a process of selection would occur through perfectly natural means. Limited food supply, agents of disease to which some are sensitive and others more immune. I thought back to all I had witnessed on my voyage and to breeding experiments by means of which humans have produced a nearly endless variety of type by artificial means. If man can produce pigeons that tumble, chickens resembling dust mops, and dogs shaped like sausages, all by artificial selection and in short periods of time, what creations could nature conceive over millennia? And so I began to document evidence to support my theory of natural selection. as many more individuals of each species are born than can possibly survive, and as consequently there is a frequently recurring struggle for existence, it follows that any being, if it vary however slightly in any manner profitable to itself, will have a better chance of surviving and thus be naturally selected. At this time, I began to feel lonely, and I contemplated marriage. I wrote down the gains and losses to be incurred by such a decision on a piece of paper, which I kept. It amuses me to think of it now. A note to myself, Great Marlborough Street, London, July 1838. To marry or not to marry? This is the question. Benefits of marriage. Children, if it please God. Constant companionship and friend in old age. Someone who will feel interested in me, an object to be beloved and played with. Better than a dog, anyhow. Home and someone to care for the house. Charms of music and female chit-chat. These things must be good for one's health, but a terrible loss of time. How intolerable to think of spending all of my life working. No, it won't do. Now imagine living all of my days solitarily in a smoky, dirty London house. Now picture a nice, soft wife on a sofa with good books and music, perhaps. Reasons not to marry. Have the freedom to go where I like, and the choice of society, conversation with clever men at clubs. Not forced to visit relatives, and to bend in every small trifle, or to have the expense and anxiety of children, all the quarreling. Loss of time. Cannot read in the evenings. Fatness, idleness, anxiety and responsibility. Less books, less money for books, if there are many children. When I finished, my longer list of benefits persuaded me to pursue the adventurous unknowns of matrimony. And so in 1838, I became engaged to my cousin, Emma Wedgwood. We were soon married. We moved into a new London house, and I began work on my second book on coral atoll formation. Em is deeply religious and has fretted about my lack of faith. The Wedgwoods have two notable attributes: their pottery and their piety.